does exist here in Erie County. We also, as a result of that, want to talk about travel bans that are still in place. A lot of them were lifted over the course of the evening in the last few days, but particularly hard-hit areas that are still working through this process here. Buffalo, mostly South Buffalo. It's south of William Street, so south of William in the city of Buffalo, and Lackawanna as well. So we still have travel bans as of this morning, as of 6 a.m., but a lot of the other areas that we were providing you with during the overnight hours have actually come off of the travel bans, most notably starting at 6 o'clock this morning, the town of Hamburg, and at midnight last night, the town of Orchard Park. Travel bans and advisories, we're going to touch on very, very briefly here. We do still have these travel advisories, so it's still not a great idea to be out and about, whether you're sightseeing or you're trying to do other things. It still is good idea to keep in mind that there are advisories out there, and you can take a look now and you can see some of the towns that are pretty obviously still impacted by this. A lot of moving parts, a lot of snow still being removed as a result of our record snowfall. So Aurora, Boston, Buffalo, as I said, north of downtown, and William Street, Colden, Eden, Elma, Evans, Hamburg, Holland, Marilla, Orchard Park, Wales, and West Seneca. And we do have maps that we can provide if you so need them. The most recent big news as of midnight last night, actually, the 219 was open, and I know there were some questions as to whether or not it was truly open. It is open, and it's right down to pretty much dry pavement at this point here. It opened last night, or first thing this morning at 12:01. As far as school closings, I think the members of the media, you have some pretty solid systems there. We're pretty up to speed on what schools are open, what schools are closed. We want to thank the school systems for being proactive in those hard-hit areas. Not only proactive for today, but also right up until Thanksgiving, because it gives the crews, the teachers, people maybe that are coming from long distances into the impacted school districts, or even an open school district in some cases here, they're traveling from the hard-hit areas. So school closures, check with your local schools, and they're pretty good at updating you as things need to be updated. With that, I'm going to turn over to Karen Hope from our Department of Public Works. She's Deputy Commissioner. She's got quite a bit of information to add, not only the great effort from our county resources that are out there, but also some of the moving parts of resources that we've brought in that are going to be out there working and continuing to work through the middle of the week.
Good morning. Thank you, Commissioner. I'd like to provide some updates on what has been going on in the Department of Public Works, specifically in our highway division. Our crews in the county highway, they're on day 5 of working on the efforts for this storm. Erie County has most equipment out, and we also have all of our county-owned roads are clear. That's over 1,200 miles of roads that are all located outside of the city of Buffalo. Erie County has also been providing assistance to various municipalities. We've hired private contractors that are led by Union Concrete Construction, and they're operating teams of high lifts and dump trucks to dig out the remaining streets in the impacted areas. The snow needs to be removed. It's being dumped at this time at the Erie Community South lot. It's also being taken to our location at Bennett Beach Park, and they're getting that out of there as quickly as they can. For the impacted areas, this is not just about a plowing operation, and that's a message that we want to share so people understand the logistics of removing this level of snow that some of these streets are seeing. We need to bring in high lifts. We also need to bring in dump trucks. They are needed to move large, heavy loads of wet snow that we're getting out of these streets that have been blocked. It's much slower than just bringing up plowing. So that preliminary work needs to happen before those plows can get in there and they can really get those roads clean. We have 3 dump trucks that are assigned to each loader. The fuel and the grease hubs are set up to keep the loaders and the dump trucks working as we continue our efforts for full clearance of the roads. It's a complex logistical operation, and it will take time for some of those streets that are impassable to be cleared in some of the municipalities that have been impacted the most severely. As far as our emergency snow clearance, we've had major progress overnight. In particular, the impassable side streets that are being mapped, we've got crews that are assigned to assist municipalities, and we're working on updating that on a rolling basis. Crews are also working on widening some of our major arterial roads, and they're opening intersections up. As of 6 a.m., key areas that need to receive additional attention include Lackawanna 1st and 2nd Wards, South Buffalo, Lovejoy, and smaller streets in the town of Hamburg, the side streets ones from the town. New York State has provided major assistance. We've gotten a high list from them and other assets that continue to arrive and for the efforts. Erie County has hired tow trucks to assist in the South Buffalo area for the city of Buffalo. Lovejoy, county hired tows teaming up with the city of Buffalo and their parking enforcement officers to clear cars and to expedite this dig out. As far as some of the information on the towed vehicles, I know a lot of people are inquiring that have had their vehicles abandoned during their rescue on where they can locate their vehicle. Vehicles that have been towed by Erie County have been taken to the former Sears parking lot store that's located at the McKinley Mall. An inventory of these towed vehicles can be found on a website that we have that lists just those cars. So that would be Erie County or erie.gov/towed vehicles. You can look it up. That catalog is updated. We're inventorying that throughout the day, and you can locate your vehicle to ensure that it's at one of those lots if it's been brought there by the county. Information on how to pick up your vehicle can all be found at that link. Once the travel ban has been lifted, the towed vehicles can be retrieved at McKinley Mall Sears parking lot. For cars that have been towed by the city of Buffalo, you need to call the individual police district. We can provide those numbers. They're provided here in the slide, whether it's A district, B district, C district, D district, or E district. You'll have to call whichever area that was towed in and get further information from them as to where they're storing those vehicles that have been towed. Thank you.
Thanks, Karen. Just as a reminder, Erie County offices are closed today. We did want to push this out to our employees, though. Those of you that are scheduled work from home and have been working from home, you're still expected to work from home today. And essential employees of the county designated as essential, you know who you are. They're a vital part of this overall operation. If you're designated as essential, you're still expected to be showing up today. As far as the shutdown for the county government, we should also point out it includes the Department of Motor Vehicle sites as well as the health sites. And you can make phone calls to get more information with regards to rescheduling. We do want to remind folks as you are breaking out of this ice jam and snow, and please make sure that your cars are cleared off. We've had many instances where people are driving down the road. This is no exaggeration with regards to the amount of snow we know that's on the roofs of the vehicles. I know when you're clearing it, you don't necessarily want to dump that in the driveway that you just shoveled out, but this stuff does tend to shift. You get about a half a mile down the road, you stop at a signal, and it completely obstructs your view, or worse, while you're driving down the highway. So again, we're extending that common sense message and view that we've had all throughout the course of this. I know people are eager to get out, but please make sure that you clear all the way around your cars, your tail lights, your headlights, things like that, so other people can see you very clearly, because we're going to be experiencing some high winds today, and even though the sun might be out, you're going to probably every 30 or 40 seconds get a burst, and light snow is going to blow across, and it's going to be just like you're in a whiteout condition. You can't see them and they can't see you. We're going to compound the problems, and we're going to have some more issues on the roads. The other thing we've been talking about, the recurring themes here, wind's going to be coming up. It's going to be blowing snow into more or less drifting. So with your furnace and furnace safety, you want to make sure that, we're saying here, if I can't breathe, meaning the furnace here, it's not safe. So those intakes, the fresh air, they're going to shut down, and or worse, and you're going to have some carbon monoxide issues. So again, let's just make sure that we're safe out there. Everybody's going to be getting out and either cleaning their sidewalks and their driveways for the first time, or they're going to get out there and maybe try and clean it up a little bit more. But we all try to take shortcuts sometimes. You want to make sure that your equipment is shut down. You don't reach your hand into an area where you could severely injure yourself. And another shortcut, which I'm myself guilty of sometimes too, is when you're going to refuel it, sometimes don't shut it off, or you don't wait for it to cool down. So especially snow blowers and things like that, or putting excessively warm pieces of equipment into your garage too quickly after you do it. Again, just stop and think and relax. The other thing is we want to make sure that folks check on their neighbors. You know your neighborhood, or you should know your neighborhood. Family members should be checking on other family members. We want to make sure that, if people are unable to get out or need something, just go and check. It's what we do here in Western New York. It's all the positive stories about, the football game and getting people from point A to point B. That extends to more than just professional athletes. That's what we do. That's our neighborhoods. So let's just make sure that we're good neighbors and that we do check on everybody. For emergency assistance, we do want to point out the fact that if you need critical assistance, we'll get it to you. We'll assist you with that. We're talking specifically about dialysis. There are no options with regards to getting your dialysis. So as we've done in the past with our storms, we'll make sure that if you can't get out, we will come to you and we will get you to your dialysis. So a couple of things here with regards to that, medications, other medical needs, if they are truly emergencies, and dialysis is a true emergency, we'll work with you on that. So we've got the number here. You can call MERS, our Medical Emergency Radio System, and they will work with the Emergency Operations Center to get folks dispatched out there. They'll coordinate that so that we know what time your appointment, specifically with dialysis is, and we'll get you transported there as well. Great working relationship with the Sheriff's Office. We've got National Guard that's helping us with that as well. These are the type of things that we activate during these major storms. But the number is 716-858-6377. That's the number to MERS, and to then get that as the conduit for us to move that process forward. The Emergency Operations Center here is continuing to coordinate things, and we expect to do that at least through the end of the day today, and we'll have more updates on that. And also the shelters have pretty much been winding down. Shelters in this particular case have been for people who had to be pulled out of their vehicles and had to wait while we got the roads open up. But the shelters are fairly clear. There are still some individuals that are there. And some of these shelters will still be operational in the event that we have some further issues with especially the heavy snow. So with that, I just wanted to add, a special thank you. We talk about the first responders. That's kind of what they do, what we do. But we also should give a salute out to the family members of those first responders, because in many cases, they're the ones that are out there making sure that the furnaces are still running, that the driveways are getting done. So we do want to, as we move through this, we want to, basically a tip of the hat to all those individuals that assist us. And this building here is a beehive, 2 shifts, a lot of activity going on, and a shout out to our cleaning crew that has kept us pretty much sanitary throughout the course of this here, and we want to thank them as well. So with that, we'll take some questions with regards to the storm.
Do you have any idea yet the cost of the response that you'll be able to be reimbursed by FEMA for?
Well, so there are allowable costs from FEMA. There are different, so the way FEMA works traditionally is they cover 75% of the cost, 75% of the allowable cost, 25% is the local share. Traditionally, we've worked with our partners at the state, and they either absorb it or we cost share that. When I talked about the hard work begins, we have to be able to justify that threshold, that number, and actually, roughly statewide for damages, that the number that you'd have to hit is almost $33 million, just to give you an idea of the magnitude between here and some of the other old lake areas that have been impacted. Erie County's damage alone has to be over $3 million. So what we have to do now is work with our partners in the towns, villages, and cities, get all of the information, whether it happens to be any out-of-pocket costs that's over and above what they do in their day-to-day operations. So we have to pull that all together. Then we have a meeting eventually with FEMA to be able to justify the fact that it's almost $33 million worth of damage, costs for personnel, bringing in all that extra equipment that the Department of Public Works has been bringing in. So it's a lengthy process. The initial phase, though, of actually getting that declaration, we're happy to say as of midnight, we did receive that phone call, so we're good there.
For the 219, we just want to clarify, so it is open. We've received calls that there's 2 exits, including Armor Duels being closed.
So it is open. And what we are doing is, as of 6 o'clock today, the town of Hamburg lifted their travel bans. So it's kind of a give and take with that. But as of midnight, the 219 was open. And I know we get to the point where we're thinking for the last 4 or 5 days it's not. But the 219 is open. And there's a few areas where, you know, it's a trickle down to get that. What we were trying to do up until 6 o'clock too is control so people weren't exiting and heading into Hamburg into those impacted areas. Similar to what happened on the 90 yesterday, where we had those exits where the exits were clear, but we were asking people not to get off there.
I don't know if you mentioned it, but what about fire hydrants?
So fire hydrants, it's a phased-in type thing. A lot of areas, neighbors yesterday, before the game, after the game, got out there and did that. Whether it's civic groups that are out there assisting, we'll coordinate that obviously with some of our crews that are out there contracted to open the road. But right now, we're just trying to get that heavy snowpack removed and then systematically work on that. And we're also in communications with our partners at the Water Authority just to see how much relief they might be able to get us to assist that. But it is critical.
People in neighborhoods, if they have one.
Yeah. So cleaning out fire hydrants isn't something that you're not allowed to do. It's something that we would encourage people to do. But again, know your limitations. Same as we've been saying all along with people getting out there shoveling the very heavy snow. This is a very compact snow that's around these hydrants. So a lot of areas the kids are off for a few days, so let's put them to good work. But we also have safety concerns there too about people doing the hydrant standing in the road and plows and heavy equipment coming down. So it's a delicate balance there, but we're working to, that's been the focus of the emergency management calls that we've had with all of the other partners.
Any idea how long that the remaining travel bans and the travel advisories will be in effect?
We actually do address that almost minute by minute. We've got a call coming up a little bit later with all of our, as I said, all of our partners, the elected officials and managers. But we want to make sure that the state of emergency stays in place because it gives us options. Without a state of emergency, there's a lot of different things that we can't do and we can't respond quickly. I would say until we know what's going to happen today with the overall operations, how much progress we make, and also what happens to if these winds are impactful today, a lot of the good work that's been taking place could be erased as a result of the high winds and the gusts. So it's again just keeping the options open. We're hoping sooner than later. I don't think there's anybody in this emergency operations center, or anybody at the state level, or any of the towns or villages that wants to keep that in place. But again, it's just a good reminder to people that things are not 100% yet, and it's the easiest way for us to get there.
There's certain neighborhoods that you're concentrating on with the payloaders and the dump trucks that people can know that their area is next.
Yeah, I'll let Karen answer that.
What the status is on that?
Yeah, so we're assisting a couple different municipalities that are still struggling with getting to some of their town roads. So what we're doing is we are working on some mapping as we're dispatching to areas with the equipment that we brought in, that Erie County brought in. And so what I would recommend is we're getting that information to the towns, we're coordinating with their highway departments, and then encouraging them to get to the residents on social media. So on the town's Facebook page, as we're helping to assist them, those municipalities might be able to share more specifics on some of those side streets. Does that answer your question?
Can you name like some of the towns?
I believe Lackawanna is still looking for assistance. We've got the town of Hamburg, Evans, and then I believe South Buffalo in the city of Buffalo is still having some challenges with getting their roads cleared. So once we continue our efforts, we'll reevaluate if we've got more resources to allocate to other areas that continue to struggle.
Kaisertown thing?
I believe Kaisertown and South Buffalo in general.
And it's just more difficult now with like the snow being compacted and some of that ice underneath?
It is, and I think that's, that's the message that we want to share with the public. It's not as simple as, like I said, waiting for a snow plow. When you're looking at a side street that needs a few loaders to load into a dump truck, find a site to remove that to begin their plowing operations, they're out there. They've been working around the clock in all these municipalities to get the job done, but the process takes longer than just snowplow work. They're having a lot of success overnight, especially with the weather clearing. The past 24, 36 hours have been really successful in those spots. And now we're kind of at the point where we're able to get all that information together to assess if they're in a good spot where their roads are open.
Any idea how many vehicles are at the McKinley Mall parking lot?
At one point, so we have been towing them in the hardest hit areas. Hamburg was one of them, and there was a lot of rescues and vehicles that were abandoned. So the ones that the county has taken to Erie County are taken to the McKinley Mall. I believe at one point we had cataloged around 50 or more. They began the process yesterday with the sheriff's assistant and municipal assistants to get some of the residents that were in warming shelters over to get their cars. So we're seeing that amount dwindling, but if somebody had recently had their car towed, pardon me, they may not see it listed on our site yet because we're cataloging them throughout the day. But we expect to see that number start to diminish quickly as conditions are clearing.
Is there a cost associated with getting your car back?
That is a question I would defer to Commissioner. As far as, at this time, we don't have, now, Erie County is towing them for them to get back, but I believe that if other agencies had towed them, then they're gonna have to contact them and see what the process is to get them back. The ones that are getting connected back with their owners at our lots, there isn't.
At the mall?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think that, that obviously there's a cost associated with the fact that your vehicle had to be taken off the road so that we could move this operation forward. So I would at this point say, anticipate, yeah, that there will be some fee associated with that, but that will be, something that's between the agency that did your tow and the home and the actual vehicle owner. So we'll take a closer look at that as things move along. But yeah, I think that was the original intention is, we need to get things going here. And just to follow up, reply to the question with regards to, the highly impacted areas, we do now, we've worked with the tow companies. There's been a very, very major push to try and find folks that have tow trucks that are going to come out, are willing to do that. So we're working extensively to assist the city of Buffalo at this point with tow operators to get some of the vehicles out of those areas that were impacted so that they can then get there with the plows to be able to complete the job and move things forward. So it's a phased in. You might not have seen a plow, but there's a reason why you haven't seen it, because there's other operations that are going on to get to the point where the plows and the high lifts can actually get there. So, yeah, so there are no real simple answers with regards to that, but we're very thrilled with the progress that's taking place.
In the places where there is a travel ban, do you still run the risk of being ticketed by the sheriffs if you're out there in your car and you're just getting whatever?
That's up to the individual municipalities. Towns and villages have their own police forces and the threshold to that. But yeah, I mean, that's the intent with regards to, we can't just have the language out there that and assume that people are all going to comply. We saw what happens, that a certain small percentage of people don't. So it's up to those communities and the sheriff's office, if need be, to put teeth into that. And I would say the likelihood of you getting a fine, a ticket, increases dramatically if you are driving in a ban area and you decide to park it in a snowbank somewhere. So in addition to having to have your vehicle towed, I'm pretty sure that you'll also receive a summons for being out when you weren't supposed to, unless you have a really good excuse. All right.
Or an essential worker.
Yeah, you know who you are. So I want to thank everybody. Stay warm, stay positive, and we will have future updates as they become available.